what made you start skating? Like, what was your first experiences, and where'd you get your board? What kind of board? Like, just the whole beginning. Like, what started you off?
Like, how did I start skating?
Yeah, like what got you into it? What?
Basically, like, just through like biking, BMX. Like, always ride around the neighborhood on my bike, trying to do freestyle tricks, and then see like the local skaters. And one of the guys in the neighborhood, Al, like wanted to, ride my bike, do some tricks, and he's like, "You can ride my board." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do on that thing, basically." And so he came back with my bike, and he's like, "Can you ollie?" And I was like, "What the hell's an ollie?" Like I didn't know what that was. Like I didn't know the skate slang or anything, and kind of showed me, tried it, kind of learned it, got hooked from there. Then Nintendo was pretty big. So it was like '89. Nintendo was huge. Always playing video games. Guy Toby Schultz, that was like in the neighborhood, skated. Wanted to borrow a video game from my brother and I. We let him borrow the video game. He let us borrow his board. I just remember like thinking like, I hope he never brings that video game back because I want to keep the board, So eventually he came back, gave him his board, and then hounded my dad to get my first complete. Got that, and then it was on from there.
What was your first setup?
First setup was the Ray Barbie Ragdoll. Favorite. Actually just got that board again, so I'm hyped on that.
Yeah, here?
I don't have it here, I have it at work, but yeah. Super hyped to get that. Yeah. Early influences were definitely like Jim and Jason Buck, Matt Ross, Jim Enos, Jonathan Hicks, Glenn Houston, just all the older guys that were killing it.
Right.
The skate scene was sick back then. Like everybody was like, pretty close. Like everybody was accepted. Like there wasn't any like groups. Like basically like the bigger the session, the better. Mm-hmm. And everybody just kind of fed off each other and just snowball effect. Cool. Backstreet boards, yeah. First complete, yeah. It's like a little hole in the wall skate shop. Jason and Jim Buck sold me that, and of course they. It was the Ray Barbie, but it was the board that had been sitting on the wall the longest. They pawned it off to me thinking that, they're hyped to get rid of it, but I was pretty hyped, just on the board alone.
Over the years.
Favorite local skate spot? That's a tough one. Probably Citizens Bank before it got torn down. It's a go-to spot. Everybody, you could always go there, like, any day of the week. Always find somebody skating there.
What's the...
Can't really think of a specific one because they're all embarrassing. Because you know right off the bat that it's a lie. But, man, that's tough. Like, I can't, like, think of, like, a single, like, one-trick rumor, like, that sticks out or blew me away. But there's definitely plenty of them going around, throughout the years.
Yeah,
even to this day. There's always going to be rumors.
All right.
Probably worse is just like getting skating with Sega and getting our boards taken on campus. So it's like the first real time that like our boards had ever gotten taken. It was around we were both like 16 and just got our first jobs, so it wasn't that big of a deal because we were blowing our checks on product anyway. But that was probably like the worst. Nothing too outlandish.
Are you affiliated with any local gang or crew, and who are the members?
Crew, you know the answer to this. Pretty much like the LFT era, which, I don't know. You're digging deep. It basically was just like LFT, like stood for Lafayette, and the initials were loyalty, friendship, trust, and it's basically just Sega, Jonathan, like Glenn, like whoever was pretty much down. It wasn't like anything, like intense where you had to like beat in, beat out type group. It was just like a group of skaters that skated together like on a daily basis, and we're just real close.
Tell me about the first time you met Glenn Houston.
Glenn, I met him. He was skating with Jonathan and Jason Buck, Jonathan Hicks, and believe it was out at Glen Acres School, and I just remember like he was getting like a bunch of grief for being tech. Like he would do kickflips and stuff, and like at the time of like skateboard, like at that time in skateboarding, like if you were doing tech tricks, you were like you weren't like labeled like a good street skater. You were like put in with like the freestyle, you know, aspect of skateboarding, and so he was getting clowned on for doing kickflips all the time. But I just remember being pumped. I was like, yo, he can do kickflips, like that trick's freaking hard, like especially considering that trick took me like the longest out of any trick I can do, you know, to have, and like that's like a standard now in skateboarding. But I just remember him, like everybody's making fun of him, like Glenn always does kickflips, but I was like hyped. I was like, damn, that's sick that he's tech, you know, like I don't think that's freestyle.
Tell me the first time that you met Jonathan.
Jonathan was with Jay Buck, and I just remember that was at the it was like a rundown gas station, and like I'd seen him skating around, but I never really skated with them. Like they were older, I was pretty intimidated. But I remember we were skating like this like rundown gas station, and it was like a double-sided curb. Everybody was just doing like board slides and whatnot, and they rolled through, and I was just like freaking out. And Jay was super cool, and Jonathan was super cool, and like we got along well because we were like the same height, same age, like little guys. So we clicked right away. I was trying to learn kickflips with like around that time, and so was Jonathan. And then I remember I didn't skate with him for a long time, and then the next time I saw him, he's like, hey, guess what I learned? I was like, what's that? He's like, kickflips. I was like, no way, me too. And he's like, no way. I'm like, so we're both just like, I don't know, skating around doing kickflips and just being all hyped that we could do them.
So, who were some of the guys around town when you were young that you thought were like the dudes who were like the legends, where you were like, holy shit, that's that guy?
Legend status, definitely Jason Buck. I'm putting his brother in there as well because he was pretty sick back in the day. Definitely Jim Enos, Matt Ross. Those guys were just beyond, like, around that time. Like, I remember, like, just hearing, like, stories about, like, those guys would always take road trips because they were older. They'd go to Colorado. They would, like, catch on to, like, new tricks that were, you know, being learned at that time, like the impossible or pressure flips even. And, like, they'd call back into Lafayette and tell, like, you know, the skaters here, like, what's going on out there, you know, because they were more advanced out there and tricks that we got to learn. And I just remember, like, seeing Jim Enos and Matt Ross at, like, the fountain on campus, and they had been skating, and, like, they got in the water and they were all wet, and we're like, yo, can you guys show us, like, the impossible? And they're like, our shoes are soaked because we were, like, in the fountain, you know? But they borrowed, like, Toby Schultz's shoes and, like, Rowdy Rice's shoes, and, you know, put them on, and they did the impossible, and we were, like, freaking out. We were just like, oh, like, these guys are, like, insane. And, like, Jim Enos, like, melon grabs, like, he had them, like, dialed. I just remember, like, seeing him do them off the stage and just being, like, blown away. Just the style and, like, consistency.
A little bit about Rowdy Rice, people who might not know that guy, like, his legend. It's like, not too many people really know that dude, but he was...
Yeah, Rowdy Rice was
really
basically
good.
like the Costin of Lafayette. Like, he learned tricks, like, super quick. Like, he was, like, everybody's favorite. Tell him a trick, he's got it, like, dialed that day. Like, I remember that guy's shoes would be so blown out from, like, just constantly trying to master tricks, like, one after another. Like, if he got a trick, he didn't stop until he had it dialed every time, and just, like, it was just inspiring. Like, switch trays, nobody could do them. He had them. I don't know. But, yeah, I definitely grew up with that guy. We pretty close, but, yeah. It'd be nice if he was still around.
What happened to him?
He, like, the last I heard is that he's married and has a couple children, but story is
I
he's still...
remember hearing rumors about him doing the craziest shit, and I was like, what?
No, yeah, anything from Rowdy is probably true. I mean, yeah.
He's definitely good.
I wouldn't put anything past him.
Tell me about Dropin, like, experiences you had there.
Oh, Dropin was, let's see. Basically, Dropin, you know what Dropin is, but I don't know, it just gave, like, Dropin was, like, it was great for Lafayette. It wasn't huge. I mean, quarter pipes, a little mini, little fun box, but The winters here are harsh. It was just like in a little pool barn. Saw some of my first demos there. The lady Sherry owned it. What was her last name?
Cole.
Yeah, Sherry Cole. Yeah, that place was great. Like everybody I met. Yeah, didn't I meet you there?
Probably met me there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I met you there. But yeah, Dropin was the go-to spot.
Yeah, go more.
Let's see, Tyrone Taylor. The first time I met him was at Dropin, and he was geared head to toe in all green, and he had a shirt that he would always wear constantly. Every time you saw him, Skate Warriors t-shirt. And so this is before I actually met him, but we used to call him the Skate Warrior because he always had on the Skate Warrior shirt, which was great because as a kid, everybody has their favorite shirt, and if it's anything skate related, you're gonna rock that thing nonstop. But Tyrone was like, phew, my shadow. Like any trick that I would do, he would be right behind me doing it right after I did it. Make or break, Tyrone was doing it, and I'm pretty sure if I didn't land it and he did, he was pretty hyped. But it used to annoy me, but it's pretty, in retrospect, it's pretty amazing, like, pretty epic introduction. But yeah, that's my first experience with Tyrone Taylor. Like,
You gotta learn some shit.
Yeah, you guys didn't, like, slack by any means. You were right there with the rest of us.
Oh, man, that shit was fun.
Yeah, that was the best.
Dropin' was the shit.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe tell some of the younger kids, too, that might be watching this about Adam Belt, so they know that there was gnarly dudes, you know, like, they don't, you know, because, I mean, I don't know if we're going to be able to get an interview with Adam or anything. But.
Yeah, Adam Belt's, I'm trying to remember where he was from. He was from a small town.
Like Logansport or something?
It wasn't Logansport, it was like, Oria, Indiana, or something like that. It was a small town, like, don't quote me on it. I'm not exactly sure what town he came from, but, I just remember, like, some of the older guys that skated with him wouldn't stop talking about him, and then the first time I actually skated with him, he was, yeah, amazing. Like, another Rowdy Rice, like, always, like, into, like, learning, like, the latest trick, I don't know, always ahead of everybody, like, gaps, rails, you name it, like, he went for it, and did it well. Best session ever?
Yeah, best skate session where you just remember, like, it was fucking awesome, and who was there skating with you, and what were you?
Ooh, I'd say probably, I have a few that come to mind. Any of the Citizens Bank sessions were great. I mean, everybody, like, was just going for it and feeding off each other. Another one was probably with you, when we were with Jay and Jim and Sega, and we went to Carry Quad, and you backside 180 the Carry Quad stairs for Taco Bell, I do believe. And that was a pretty epic session because you were just on a tear that day. So that was definitely one of the top 5. If you say 5, I'd have to go more than 5, but
that's what everybody's saying.
Yeah, I mean, if I could throw together a session anywhere, does it have to be in Lafayette or just anywhere?
Just anywhere, with whoever you want, anytime, anywhere.
All right,
Just a dream session.
Dream session, definitely, like, Citizens Bank. I would have to throw in Chris Benedict, Jonathan Hicks, Glenn Houston, Jim Enos, Matt Ross, Rowdy Rice, Toby Schultz, Tyrone Taylor, Drew Davis for good measure. Let's see. Definitely Drew. Jose, Colin. There's just too many to name, but definitely like everybody that I grew up skating with.
What's the, you're going to like this one. What's the craziest skate violence you've ever witnessed growing up skating?
Skate violence?
Yeah, like
who?
Fight between skaters and somebody.
The Rumble at the Village. That would definitely have to go down as one. That was just sheer madness. Yeah, that's kind of hard to explain. There was a lot going on there. A lot of fighting and a lot of blood. And, yeah, that was pretty intense. That was like 2 bouncers, wasn't it? 2 bouncers. That was pretty intense.
Explain the story so people might know it.
The story goes, like, basically, like, it's Chauncey Hill Mall. It's just like a little mini mall. And they had some ledges that people used to skate, and we'd always just, like, migrate there and hang out. It was like a meetup spot. But They're like basically like Sega was skating like down the sidewalk and there's two bouncer guys and they basically shouted out skate or die. And Tim Brannigan was like, I was next to him and he's like, hey, these guys are like starting stuff with Sega. And so if I remember correctly, like Tim just like hauled down like the sidewalk and like completely like body checked one of the bouncers. And then like from there, like it's pretty, like it happened pretty quick and it was pretty intense. But basically every skateboarder was just like annihilating two bouncers. Like they were just fighting. People were like falling over the wall. Like there's blood, like older, like moms with their children like screaming and crying. Like it was probably went on for like 2 minutes, but it seemed like a lot longer than that. But basically just boards were being thrown at people everywhere, or the two bouncers, and then everybody broke out and that was that, went separate ways and pretty much got away with it. But yeah, it was pretty nasty scene.
Like new kids.
Advice, not that any of them would take it, but yeah, basically just have fun with skating. I mean, take it for what it is. Like, don't do it for any other reason except you're having fun. Like, if you're not having fun with it, don't do it because it's probably not for you. But I mean, if you enjoy it and you get self-satisfaction, keep doing it just for that. Like, don't like lose focus of like why you're doing it. Like, don't do it for sponsorship or, you know, to please anybody else. Like, or follow like the trends, like the tricks that people are doing in skating. I mean, if it appeals to you and you think you'll have fun doing those tricks, learn them. But if you're stressing, yeah, you know, do what feels good.
What's your worst injury you've seen or experienced?
Let's see. I can't say that I've seen too many like injuries that were harsh. I know that I've experienced like breaking my foot and ankle. That was pretty bad experience, to say the least. But as far as witnessing, I don't think I've seen anything that's been too intense.
What mark have you left on Lafayette skate scene? Like any certain trick or like something that you'll just be known as, like through like the next generation? They'll be like, oh, there he, you know, like what will the kids that are coming up know?
I don't think that like I've done like anything, you know, spectacular that would really leave a mark. But I mean, I don't think in terms of tricks there's like any one thing. But I mean, I've definitely like maybe that I was a nice guy by showing people around because I've never like, you know, hid spots or kept them from anybody. But been a pretty damn good tour guide, to say the least, you know.
Skateboarding.
No, I don't like that shit at all. Like hiding spots or secret filming missions, like that shit's lame. Like, you know, like skating is skating, and like you have your sessions, and you know, you go out and you do it with your friends because it's fun. Like, you shouldn't be like hiding anything from anybody, you know, like locking up spots or keeping them from anybody. Like, if you find something, like share that shit, you know, like get a crew and go skate it, unless it's like some spot that you can't have more than like 2 people skating because it'll be a bust. I understand that, but like at the same time, like, you know, find a dope spot, share it.
What would you say?
Lafayette's a little more loose, like not as uptight. Like we basically, like, everybody in Lafayette just likes to have fun, like hands down. Like there's no like, you know, we all shit talk just out of fun, but like there's no like real hate. Like everybody like loves each other, skates together, and you know, keeps it keeps it real, to say the least.
Do you have it?
Jose? Oh man, I have too many Jose stories. Skating or just in
general?
In
Jose,
general,
we're getting some good Jose stories. Or Jose and Brannigan stories is what we're getting a lot of good ones of.
Jose, like, all right, Jose is like, ooh, like a little brother to me. Like, I love Jose, but he's like the one guy that can definitely get under my skin. Like, I lived with him for a few years, and probably like, all right, if you want rant, let's see. All right, one night, like, I came home to the apartment, and Jose's like passed out on the recliner with like some La Bambas. No, not La Bambas. Come home, he's passed out with let me see, what was it? It was Jimmy John's. You want to get that? Now, trying to think of how this all went down. Now that's a different story. I have too many from that freaking apartment.
I know they're gonna be good.
No, all right. Here's one. Dennis you can, if you ever get a hold of Dennis, he can vouch for this one. He was there. I come home one night. Jose's wasted. He wants to get Jimmy John's. I'm like, all right, you know. Well, we order a couple sandwiches from Jimmy John's. Get our sandwiches. Jose's just annihilated, like completely intoxicated, like talking shit, you know. I think it's funny at first. It's not funny. It's just super annoying. So I started, you know, trying not to pay attention to him. He's nagging and nagging and nagging, and I'm just like, just watching the TV, you know, not listening to him. And Dennis passes out on the recliner. Jose's just like walking around, like eating his sandwich, just trying to talk shit to get a rise out of me. And I'm just like watching TV. All of a sudden, he throws his damn sandwich at me. It drills me in the chest, and I'm just like, all right, that's it, you know, last straw. So, I don't know, we kind of like get in this little freaking match, whatever, and I like pin him against the wall. I was just so pissed. I was just like, cut it out, you know, like, what are you trying to prove? And of course, Dennis wakes up, breaks it up, but yeah, getting drilled in the chest by a Jimmy John's sandwich by Jose, that's probably like something I'll never forget. Best Brannigan story that I've experienced with them or that I know of?
Either one that you know of.
Whew. All right. Can we be explicit on this?
Yeah.
All right. I wasn't actually at this, but there was like a cookout, and everybody's like grilling out, and like they had like some pork chops, and this is pretty gross, but like it's kind of funny. Actually, hold up. I don't even know if I want to tell this one. I might leave this for somebody else.
Just tell them, man.
It's pretty rough.
We'll put it in the bonus footage if it's too gnarly.
Basically, like Brannigan like gets these pork chops, and like he sticks his hands like in between his ass cheeks, and like rubs like the sweat from his ass cheeks on these pork chops, which is, the thought of that alone is pretty hilarious. But so he does that, rubs it like his sweaty ass, his ass sweat on these pork chops, and he serves them to a couple girls at the cookout, which is hilarious because if you saw these girls, they're like, you know, high class, kind of like pretty girls, and pretty stuck up, but he got them, and they ate them, and I guess they were talking about how good the damn pork chops were, and everybody's just like cracking up, and they find out about it later on at the party / cookout, and they start drilling him on it, you know, and he's just like, whatever, I saw you licking your fingers, you know, you thought those pork chops were good. But yeah, that's probably like the funniest Brannigan story that I know of, and a lot of people were there to witness that. Unfortunately, I wasn't, but yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Back then compared to now.
Oh. Oh. Yeah, that's a good one. Skating back then was nonstop. Like, basically it was get up, go to school, get out of school. It was either off to a park or street skating, like nonstop. Like, yeah, skating back then was, yeah, that's all you did. That's all you thought about. You know, you skip classes, you know, your last class is just so you get to a park so you'd have more time to skate. Yeah, now, let's see, if the weather's good, it's probably once a month if I'm lucky. But, yeah, I've been saying that'll change each year, but it's pretty hard to get out, especially with like work and responsibility. I wouldn't change anything in the past, like as far as skating goes. Like maybe like I probably would have paid attention more in school, because I know I didn't get shit out of high school because I was so focused on skating. Like that was like the only thing I thought of. I mean, how I got out of high school is beyond me, because yeah, the only thing that was on my mind was skateboarding. But other than that, I wouldn't change anything. It was all great. Favorite all-time Lafayette skater? I probably hands down Jonathan Hicks, just because style, the progression that he brought into Lafayette, like the way he approached it, just all in one. Definitely. Pork chop story is freaking hilarious. No, like that's like Jonathan and Glenn, and that's actually at Sherry's park. That little mini ramp they had outside. And that's a good one.
What year do you think that was?
Early 90s, definitely. Like 92, 93 maybe? Yeah, because Girl started in 93, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, because some of the first Girl decks I saw were at Sherry's, so 93, 92.
Damn.
Actually, no. This might even been before she actually had the park.
Just
This
show that
is,
ramp.
yeah, because look at the board. Like, he's got
Yeah.
the Santa Cruz, so that's probably like 90. Around there, because I forgot she had the mini ramp out there before she actually had the park.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sick.
Yeah. Is that painting, Jonathan?
Yeah, Jonathan did that. He did that, and then Richard did that.
Let me see if I can get it out. He did this piece too?
Yeah. It's pretty
What?
funny how I came about that piece too.
How did you get this piece?
Well, basically, like, whenever Jonathan would like give like people paintings, he wouldn't like sign his name on them because he'd always be like, you know, like I'm not like some famous artist, you know, like you know, you don't need my signature on a painting. He's like, you know who I am, and like after he passed away, like I got like the tattoo, which was like the tribute to him, like in memory, and then the guy that did my tattoo, like his girlfriend, like went to school with like Jonathan, like was in the same class, and he was over at her place, like in her garage messing around, and there's like that old like, you know, plywood out there, and they were like painting on it, and like he painted that with a couple of his buddies, like they were just messing around on it, and then he signed it, which he never does, so it was pretty cool that he had signed that. And then she's like, she just dropped that off at work to me one time. She's like, you know, I found this in my garage. He did this like when we were in high school. She's like, I thought you'd appreciate it more than, you know, anybody. So I want you to have it. And then, you know, here I am with that. And it's got a signature on it, which is really cool. That's 98.
Can we see the tattoo
Yeah.
to Jonathan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was hyped to get that though. I was like,
That's
no
amazing.
way. Because he'd always be like, I'm not signing this. He's like, you know, you don't need my freaking
This is a really good
autograph."
painting.
Yeah, Richard Bass did that. But, got that.
Let me see if I can get some different layers. We stand over by this. That was cool.
Got the girl in chocolate. I want to get it framed. I think they would be hyped on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they would.
Jason Buck.
I can get it without the glare.
Pretty
Man.
tight. With Jim and all those guys.
You talking to Chris Bennett much?
He was just in town. And Drew did that guy. That's like the Andy Jenkins thing. That's pretty sick. Collage.